You are really just an army of one. Be impossible to ignore. My name is Stefi Cohen. I am a doctor in physical therapy. I have 25 world records in powerlifting. And as of recent, I just became a professional boxer. Doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, independently of how you feel that day. It doesn't matter that you don't feel like going to the gym, that you don't feel like sitting down and working on your side project, that you're sad that your boyfriend dumped you, that just nothing should come in between you and your goal, and you should just always try to be chipping on something, trying to get better at something. And that's what discipline gives you. It's like it's the ability to ignore your emotions and do what needs to be done. I feel like I'm never fully content with anything. It's never enough weight on the bar, it's never enough money, it's never enough medals, it's never enough recognition. Like, you always are thinking about the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So I feel like that hunger for me is always gonna be there, always. Like, I cannot imagine being content with anything that I do. I never genuinely feel proud of myself either. So that's part of kind of what always leads me to strive for bigger heights. Anytime that I tried something that was really difficult, and again, that I had the talent, skill, aptitude, and passion to develop into that, that's something that I always leaned into, especially if there was a challenge. With powerlifting, I think one of the reasons why I didn't love it right away was because I felt like it was too easy. You know, it was like, every week I'm getting stronger, and now what? You know, okay, a year into it, I broke a bunch of world records. What kept me in there was being the best at something. And I didn't necessarily enjoy the sport per se, but I loved being the best at something and winning competitions and getting recognized. Everybody does, you know? If you say that you're not doing something, if you say that you don't care about attention or praise, like, you're lying. We're all human, and even though it might not be your motivating factor to do something, it feels good, right? So that's what kept me in powerlifting. Mentality or mantra or way to live my life is be impossible to ignore. You know, just be in everyone's face. Just be impossible to ignore. Be really good so that people can't ignore you. It's impossible. And then just be up on everybody's face. Just like, if you don't ask, you don't get. Ultimately, I mean, you are really just an army of one. Like, nobody's coming to save you in the end of the day, so you should just be able to fend for yourself no matter what, business or sports or just life in general. So a 5'10" squat, 242 bench, and a 250 kilo deadlift, which is 550-ish. My name is Stefi Cohen. I am a doctor in physical therapy. I have 25 world records in powerlifting. I'm most known for having a massive deadlift. I was able to do 4.5 times my body weight at a body weight of 119, so deadlifted about 550. That's what I'm most known for. I'm also a business owner. I started Hybrid Performance Method about 7 years ago. Went from being a small company of 2 to being now we're kind of like in the software as a service business, and we're a team of over 50 people. So that's something I'm really proud of. And as of recent, I just became a professional boxer. So I'm gonna take you guys first. Our first stop is gonna be what we call the Fantasy Factory. Some other people call it Hybrid Headquarters. But really, like, the reason why we decided to get this space is because we wanted a fun, Google-esque spot/environment for all of our crew members to be able to work as a team collectively on something, or on projects. So that's kind of what we have here. The mural on the front, I don't know if you guys recognize that person, but it's me. All right. Pretty cool to have your face on your building, on the wall of your building. Let's check it out. This is my boy Dexter. He's insane. I'm gonna show you guys around. So, my drums, that was another one of my projects from the lockdown. I was like, I'm gonna become a drummer. I didn't. I just did it for maybe a month. And then now it's a nice decorative piece, you know? It gives the place personality. Like we're into arts and culture and music, which we're not. Then this area is just kind of for, we used to have a TV there and then it broke, and then you know how things are. You don't end up fixing them. Here on this area is our YouTube filming space. So I have a little vanity over there so I can put my makeup and all that stuff. We have a rack on wheels in case we have to do any exercise demonstrations, which I think it was pretty clever. We started hybrid during my first year of grad school. So I had been in school for a year. I thought that's what I wanted to do when I graduate. I really enjoyed reading literature and writing. So a big part of my role within hybrid, especially at the beginning, was writing blog posts and articles and coming up with content in a creative way to post it and get more eyes into the company. So that's kind of like what I was focused on. I remember when Hayden first came to me with the idea of selling online workout programs that were centered around the training philosophies that we had at that time, which was combining Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting, and bodybuilding. When he came up with that idea, I was like, man, like, I'll support whatever you want to do. I'll help you however I can, but I can't see this thing making a ton of money. Like maybe we can make a few $1,000s a month, but I can't see this being like a long-term thing. But he did, right? And I trusted him. He's a smart guy and he was excited about it, so I supported him. And hybrid's growth was so fast and so exponential that it didn't take me long to get behind, like really get behind and focus on it. It was a matter of like maybe 2 or 3 months where hybrid already became extremely profitable, you know? And it wasn't because, oh, we're selling like this revolutionary training style. It was just right place, right time, right people, you know? Like we were two faces that were perfect to promote this. We were doing the sport. We entered social media at a time where the algorithm was extremely friendly, you know, and generous. And yeah, it took off. So remember, so a year into grad school, started hybrid, a few months go by, I'm already making more money than all of my professors combined, but I still have 2 more years of grad school. And I go into my first clinical rotation and I absolutely hate the job. I'm like, holy fuck, what do you do? You know, I still have 2 more years of school. I've already committed. I hate leaving things in the middle. You know, I have this gig that apparently can be a thing. What do I do? And so I chose the challenge. The challenge was to finish school, super competitive program, 6% acceptance rate. Like the graduation rate is also super low. The classes are so difficult. There's a policy that anything less than a 75 on any test gets you kicked out. Like it was really challenging and I loved it. Like, I remember like crying at night, midnight, being like, oh, fuck, this sucks, but it's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good when I graduate. I'm gonna be so proud of myself of like just everything that I had to go through, juggling business, lifting professionally and competing like every few weeks and traveling for exposure, meeting people, networking, and still, you know, being able to graduate. So that was my life around that time. It was pretty hectic. I would wake up I would set my alarm for 5 a.m. I would pop an Apparel, 20 milligrams of Apparel. I had a prescription, it wasn't illegal. Pop 20 milligrams of Apparel, which would naturally wake me up at 6 with a panic attack. But I'm like, worth it, I'm focused. So woke up at 6, chug a Red Bull, study for an hour, just review my classes. My classes usually started at 8. Study for an hour, shower, change, be late for class. I would come to school with my barbell in the back of my car because I was friends with, or I developed a good relationship with one of my professors from undergrad. It was a strength coach, and his gym for his coaching certification was in the same building as all my PT school classes. So I would get there around like 8 a.m., go to school, leave the first class like about a half an hour early with my barbell. Like I would bring it to the classroom, then bring the barbell upstairs to the gym, leave half an hour early, then be half an hour late for the next class, stay there in school, leave, go to the library, study for a few hours, then go train. I'd be at the gym at like 8:30, and then I wouldn't leave until like 11 and do it all over again. And on this part right here is all of our apparel. So we started Apparel about, I would say 3 years ago, and we wanted to do everything in-house. I personally, this was one area of the business that I really enjoyed because it was kind of a creative outlet for me. I did a lot of I don't know how to draw, but I have a pretty wild imagination in mind, so I used to like sketch all of the designs that we wanted to make, and then I would send it to a designer, and then he would come back, and then we would come here and print it. And it was just cool to like be able to hand make everything that we did, from like, look, I'll show you, like the tags that go on the back of the shirt. We create all of the screens that we print on from scratch. So we just buy like those squares, and then we burn the screen into them with a machine in there in the dark room. Then that we put it here, we align it ourselves. We press all the shirts. Like if they have multiple colors, they go around this thing, and you have to choose different colors in the different layers of the screen. Then they start getting dried here, and then they go into this massive dryer. They come out on the other side ready to go. And then this is our bagging and tagging area. So after they're done here in this bin, and people grab them, they put it here, and then they tag them, fold them, bag them. Entering a male-dominated industry, even as a strength coach or in business, what's interesting is that I never felt that my gender was a hindrance in any way. Like growing up, I used to play soccer with the boys. Like I used to do my practice with my team, my high school team, and then I would stay and I would play with the boys. I was in an all boys league. I was like that girl that had mainly guy friends. Like I always felt like I was a part of it, never felt like they looked at me differently for being a girl. I never felt like there was anything that I couldn't do because I was a girl. But growing up, and I guess like getting deeper into these industries, and then when there's money on the line and there's competition, then I definitely started feeling it. My first experience with that was trying to get into coaching, and feeling extremely qualified, more than most people, in terms not only the knowledge that I have about the human body and performance, also my experience, like what I've been able to do, and just the fact that people are choosing other coaches just because they're buff, big guys. Like that felt almost like, that was disrespectful. Like I felt personally offended, when people would choose a guy that's not qualified at all over me because I'm a 120 pound girl. So I felt that there. Then obviously there's a ton of challenges in business, being a woman business owner, and trying to get people to do what you want them to do, your employees to do what you want them or you need them to do, and not being perceived as bitchy. It happens to me a lot too. It's like, when you're a woman and you're assertive, you're a bitch. When you're a guy and you're assertive, you're a boss. It's just the way that it is. Like I've gotten into so many problems with employees and contractors because what I say gets completely taken out of context or misinterpreted. My tone gets misinterpreted. That's been a massive challenge, to the point where I've really had to step down from that role, from being in a position of authority or power, because it was creating so much conflict. And I definitely, I do have a strong personality, but I attribute most of it to the fact that I'm a girl giving guys orders, and that hurts their ego a little bit. There's an undeniable difference between compensation and coverage of male sports and female sports in every single sport that I've been in. You know how much money they paid me when I played professional soccer back home? $50 a month. 50. That's a joke, you know. And then in powerlifting, I guess I was lucky because I was undeniably just the best. So I did get equal amounts of media attention, exposure, and opportunities. But now with boxing, I mean, we see that all the time, right? Like the highest paid female boxing fight of all time, I think, was this one, Katie Taylor versus Amanda, and I think they both made like $1 million, something like that.
We're just 2 days away from one of the biggest fights in boxing history. For sure, the biggest fight ever in women's boxing.
When the highest paid boxing matches was Canelo at $125 million. It's a big gap, you know, that's a big gap. Then on this part is where we keep all of our inventory. If you guys came here a couple years ago, this was absolute madness. It was just a bunch of boxes, one on top of the other, with no rhyme or reason. Every time you wanted to look for something, it was like impossible to find. But now we have a pretty good system. So over here we have like all of my personal collection, which is called Scandal by Stefi Cohen. And then on this side, it's more like graphic tees that are Hybrid Legacy. That's some pretty cool stuff, you know. So this part of the warehouse actually isn't finished, but we have this little escape up here. Check it out. You don't have to come up, but we turfed up this area, and then you can just come up here and chill. You know, if you want to get away from the noise, you just bring your laptop and you sit here and work. And then in there, it was supposed to be a nap room, but we didn't finish it. And then the podcast room. It's a little bit messy at the time, but here's where we record our Hybrid Unlimited podcast episodes. We usually have it set up much nicer. And then this is my office. Here is more like meetings, really focused writing. Like when I'm writing for my book, I like to do it here because I like being outside of I don't know why, I like to be outside of my house to do that. I feel like if I can really turn on work mode and I have an environment that I just have solely for focused work, this would be it. Like this is where I write creative content, where I write for my book, where I take business meetings online, where I do interviews, like if I'm being a guest on somebody's podcast or whatever, I usually do it out of here because it looks professional, I like to think. And that's it. That's the fantasy factory for you guys. So now let's go check out the hybrid gym. What's up, guys? Welcome to Miami. It's hot as balls, as we would say here. It's 93 degrees Fahrenheit, which is not even as hot as this is gonna get. So I'm coming in for my second session at the gym. I'm gonna lift a little bit of weight, or spar first and then lift a little bit of weights because strength is never a weakness. Let's get it. Yeah, see, so this is what I did with my sports psychologist today. It's legit, you have to take notes because it's lecture based. You ask any athlete what percentage of your sport you think is mental, and they'll give you a massive percentage. Like, oh yeah, it's 70% mental, it's 80% mental. And then you ask him, well, how do you prepare? Like, how often are you working with somebody that actually knows how to prepare you mentally for that sport? And almost none of them has a sports psychologist. The beast. Go, Dexter. He's crazy. Dexter, come. Dex, come in. So it's cool. The gym is 24/7. So that was a concept that I came up with because when I was in grad school and I had to get those sessions in super late at night, like it was hard to find a gym that would facilitate that for me, that would stay open. This is it. This is hybrid. Welcome in. Get out, get out, get out. Stop. This is every day. Stop. I don't remember a time in my life where I remember thinking about following a path or being like the rest or being normal. You know, I was always striving for more. I don't know if it was because of my family, the way that I was brought up. So a pretty demanding family in terms of the expectations that they had for me, for my life. You know, they were, from a very young age, they were kind of wanting to steer me in the direction of going to be a doctor or going to be a lawyer, and you know, me never being interested in that led me almost to want to prove myself in other areas, and wanting to prove to them that I could create my own path that was independent of their expectations and their beliefs of what success looked like, if that makes sense. So my mom's side of the family, it's all like doctors and lawyers, super formal, traditional, conservative, Jewish, Hispanic family. And so when I started developing an interest for sports, usually sports that are more kind of in the male-dominated area, it created a lot of confusion for them and led to them not wanting to necessarily support that or be a part of that. And I just always felt like I had a chip on my shoulder, you know, like I had to prove to them that I could do these things, that I didn't have to follow the crowd, that I didn't have to you know, go study communications and get married with an older guy that makes a ton of money. Like, none of that interests me. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to make a name for myself. And genuinely, like, I really enjoy the challenge. I realized from a young age that the moments where I felt the happiest were the moments where I was suffering the most. So that just kind of became part of my life motto. Like, anytime that I'm too comfortable, something needs to change, and I need to chase something that's really, really difficult. And yeah, it's a lot of rambling, but I think like the mix of that is what made me the way that I am now. A bit fucked up in the head. So initially, this gym, when we first got it, it was 100% powerlifting equipment. And then we slowly started adding more stuff, like some bodybuilding. We grew our Olympic weightlifting team is actually pretty cool now. So now we're kind of a mix of powerlifting, weightlifting, bodybuilding, and now obviously that's all my doing. All the boxing in the back is fairly new. Like, we added that last year just for me. So this used to be where we did all of our podcasts from initially, and then we got the Fantasy Factory, and now it's just kind of like for staff and for like the main group of athletes. Hello. All right, bye. Yeah, this is it. A little lounge area, chill area, monster fridge always stocked. That's it. So I'm gonna eat my trifecta before training because I'm starving, and then we'll get to it. Let's go.
That's not good.
Yeah, this is my first two
You
sets.
do look really good.
That's
yeah,
what I'm
you've got
saying,
that
and then
movement.
that's what I was telling you about when you realize that you have some level of skill or talent for something. I realized early on that I had an aptitude for it. That's what kind of like led me to want to pursue it on this one. These are the pink gloves that I was telling you.
No way. So these are your first early sessions. Like, how long have you been doing it at this point?
Weeks. A few weeks. Super patient. For me, sports are not, obviously they're enjoyable, but I don't choose them based on pure enjoyment. I choose them rationally based on my skills and talents and what I can realistically be really good at. Not necessarily the best in the world, but up there, you know, being up there with the best. And at that point in time, I started getting to powerlifting and genuinely didn't like it, but I knew that I had a natural aptitude for it, just based on how quickly I was able to progress and how fast I was able to adapt to the training and learn the movements. So I saw an opportunity there. But when I was in the middle of powerlifting, I mean, I don't think you'll ever meet a lifter who's 100% pain-free at any point in time. It's just pain is part of your life now. It's just life is pain and pain is life at that point. You know, you never go into training feeling 100% pain-free, and that's just kind of, you really do become desensitized to it. You know, you know the type of people that, like, the regular fitness goers that goes to the gym and has like a nagging knee and completely stops doing legs because of that. But that doesn't exist in powerlifting. In powerlifting, there's just 3 movements, and no matter what, that's the only thing that you can do to get better, independently of how much pain you're having. So you really do learn to desensitize and quiet that pain alarm, and learn how to not interpret that pain as something bad. It's just something. It just is. It's just an experience that is influenced by your beliefs and your past experience with the environment and movement. So just knowing that, learning that, and just understanding that pain is a part of life, and that it should never be something that well, sometimes obviously, yeah, you should stop sometimes, but most often than not, especially when it comes to training, it's just part of training.
This is for everything. Let's go, Steph. Here we go.
It was at this meet called Raw Unity Meet. It was 2016, so it was my first big meet. I started powerlifting in 2014 or 2015. I started powerlifting, and it was my first kind of big meet. And I went there, and I came short to the goal that I had for how much I wanted to lift, or what my projected lift should have been. I think I came second next to a girl, like a veteran, like the best 123 pounder in the world at that time. So I did really well, especially given the pressure and the meet and everything. But to me, it was like I just had this expectation of what I wanted to do in the meet, and then I didn't do it, so nothing meant anything, you know? I wasn't proud of myself. It was just like another meet. It was just a stepping stone to whatever was next. So I just came out of the meet, like they gave me my medal, I didn't even put it on. And literally as I'm walking out of the venue, I just went, continued walking. Hayden's like, are you fucking crazy? What are you doing? I'm like, the medal doesn't mean anything to me. Whereas like there's some people that get so stoked about that, and I just find it silly. Really, people that I don't know, get first place in a rinky-dink meet or whatever, and they get so stoked. Like, it's fine, you can be proud of yourself, but I guess we just have different mentalities. It wouldn't be right for me to judge them. But yeah, to me, it just didn't mean anything. Throughout my athletic career in general, so many times that I've reached for the sky and came so short of my goals. That was one example, like that meet. But like that, there's many others meets where there's one meet where I didn't even get a single squat. It was a big international meet, and I bummed out of the meet, being like one of the favorites, and then having to come back from that, having to do sports psychology and kind of build back my mental strength and my mindset coming into the next meet. So I think like once everybody is afraid to fail, but what exactly are you afraid of when you fail? Is it you're afraid of what people are gonna think? Are you afraid of letting people down? Is it you're afraid of, there has to be kind of like some other reason, or not other reason, but an explanation for that fear. And until you realize what that is, then you can't really like get past it, if that makes sense. It always gets me when like the other coach is like, oh, just work with her, like she's coming here and work with her, like work when you do things, like take it light. I'm like, oh, that's how bad I am. That's what I mean when I say like I just want to be part of the conversation. Like, I just want to be able to like spar full force with girls who are really good. Like go, fight girls that are really good. The hardest thing is the self-doubt that comes after that. Am I good enough? Do I really have what it takes to be able to overcome this obstacle? Is it even worth it for me to try? And I think anybody who performs at the highest level has some level of self-doubt. It's a question that I ask a lot of elite athletes that I meet, is how do you deal with self-doubt and failure? Because it's so difficult, right? And there's not a straightforward answer. It's usually they just accept that that's going to be part of the journey, that you are going to doubt yourself, that you are going to fall short of your goals. But ultimately, you always have to come back to just that positive self-talk of just telling yourself that you are the best, and that you are the best in the world, that you can overcome. Just all of these like affirmations, right? I want to be part of the conversation. I obviously my competitive spirit will never allow me to not be interested in winning a world title or a belt. I don't feel like I have anything to prove anymore in terms of just success, financial success, or even like sports. But I think now I'm doing it more for me. Because in the end of the day, like I'm very aware of how limited time is and how limited my athletic life is as well. So that does worry me at all points in time. And I don't know, I guess nobody has the answer of can you make it or not, or is it worth it or not, but you just kind of have to just enjoy the ride and take it for what it is.
Thank you so much to Stephie and her team. If you want to support Stephie, please head down below and look at the links in the description. This video left me with the message of being unique. Be unique, be true to yourself. We are in an industry, and Stephie is in an industry that we are all fighting for the attention of other people. And when you're in that industry, like so many of you guys are, you need to just be yourself. And it's the same for life as well. Be yourself, be true to who you are, stick to that. And at the worst case scenario, that will bring you happiness and joy. But I think in the best case scenario and in the likely circumstance, being authentic will also lead to success. If you want to help support projects like this in the future, and if you liked this mini documentary that our team, Niamh, behind the camera right now, edited, please go to Mulliganbrothers.com and support us on Mulliganbrothers.com. And also, the sponsor of the video today is BetterHelp.com, where you can get online therapy from professionals with the link in the description. Something I have used myself this last year, so I can wholeheartedly recommend receiving therapy from an online professional. So there's a link down in the description. There's some offers on as well, so go check that out. It helps support this, so thank you so much to BetterHelp. Guys, if you want to see what I get up to on a day-to-day basis, head over to Instagram @JordanMulliganBrother. See what I get up to. See what me and Niamh are getting up to with some lifting as well, @NiamhMulliganX. The link is in the description. We are now doing a lot of lifting and gym work, and also how we run this business and what we get up to on a day-to-day basis. If you enjoyed the video, please share the video, comment, like, subscribe. Have a blessed and productive day, and go inspire some change. Peace.